Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. For those that are new, my name is Neddy. Today, we're going to talk about stagnation, when your life is stagnant. So many of us, we don't realize when our lives are stagnant and we just think it's normal. A friend of mine is launching this new product, which is very excited about. So what he did, he approached 3 companies. The first company was very excited about the product. He spoke to the buyer and it's about to hit the shelves. And the second company, he was supposed to send an email, and he did. He did just that. The third company took the product. The product is already on the shelves. When God gives you an opportunity, you need to pray about it before you start anything. What happened to him is God showed him a dream where there was this black snake around him, and the black snake was around his business. He asked his pastor about the dream. Unfortunately for him, his pastor doesn't believe in dreams. So he left it. He didn't pray about it. And guess what happened? The first company that was supposed to launch the product, the buyer was transferred elsewhere. So when the buyer told him that he's now transferred to another store, he thought it would just be easy. He's already inside. But unfortunately for him, it wasn't the case. The buyer told him that he needs to start afresh. The second store where he sent an email, even though it was the right email address, but the email wasn't going through. It kept bouncing back. And the third store, obviously, they haven't paid him up to now. So when you look at all these things, do you think this is normal, really? And he didn't think anything about it. Even though God had showed him in a dream, he still rubbed it off. He still woke up and went to his pastor and asked about it, even though the pastor is a human being as well. Because it doesn't mean that if your pastor doesn't believe in dreams, you should let it go. We're humans after all. We all got different beliefs. But it doesn't mean just because your pastor doesn't believe in dreams, you should not believe in dreams. What happens when you go to the church and the pastor doesn't believe in fasting? Are you going to stop fasting as well? When he told me his problem, I recognized it was a stagnation problem. And when I told him this is when he began to recognize other things that he hadn't mentioned to me that's been happening in his life. And he wasn't even aware of it. This is when I told him that you need to go on fasting. And now that you know the problem, pray about this problem. So many people have had misfortunes in life and they don't see there's a problem behind it. In fact, they just get used to it and think this way they're supposed to be. And yet, the devil may be attacking in the spiritual realm and you may not know about it. And that made me think that there's some things that we cannot fight in the flesh. We try and sort things on our own, and yet you're supposed to go to your Creator. We become so lazy to pray and ask God to intervene. He was given a warning dream, and the fact that he even woke up and thought about it and went to his pastor, it means that it was bothering him. But unfortunately, he dismissed it after his pastor told him that he doesn't believe in dreams. And many of us take dreams for granted because we don't believe in them and let the enemy steal our destiny. Even though there are so many people in the Bible that believed in dreams, what we don't realize is dreams carry the secrets of our future. And when you are not going to take that serious, then you won't know what God is telling you. In Job 33 verse 15, God speaks to us in dreams because every dream has got a meaning. A dream is not something that you can ignore because it carries a warning. If dreams are useless, why people in the Bible believed in dreams? God spoke through a dream in the first book of the Bible in Genesis 37 verse 7, which reveals Joseph's destiny. Even though it didn't take place immediately, but it did take place eventually. So you cannot allow the devil to steal your destiny because the spirit world doesn't sleep, even though you are resting. So the enemy can steal your dreams if they're not protected. That's why when you sleep, you need to ask God to cover your dreams so that you are able to even wake up and remember those dreams. Because sometimes you would just sleep and wake up and know that you had a dream, but you don't remember it. Because the enemy doesn't want you to remember that dream because he knows that that dream is showing your destiny. And then things begin not to work out and you wonder why. And yet God had warned you in a dream. It's not all the time where God speaks to us in dreams. There are other ways that God can speak to you in order to protect you or warn you about something. When your life is stagnant, You can't move from point A to B. This is why sometimes God will show you a dream where you're losing a car. A car represents you and it takes you from point A to B. But when you lose that car in a dream, how are you going to move from point A to B? Everything will just become slower. Because when God shows you that car in your dreams, it represents something vital in your life. It could be a job, marriage, or even something that is coming your way, like a project. And when that car is stolen from your dream, how are you going to continue and do these things? This is when you have to wake up and rebuke this dream, because it shows the enemy is planning to take something very important from you. So there are signs that your life is stagnant. One thing that you'll notice is you lack motivation in life. You don't want to do anything, even anything to do with work. Sometimes you do work, but you're not happy. You're just dragging yourself to go to work, even though you're just not happy. You don't have fresh ideas anymore. And this is when you notice people are being promoted around you because you don't have those fresh ideas that you used to have. And this makes you stagnant when you don't create those fresh goals for yourself, those daily goals that you need to create for yourself, and you think this is normal. When you begin to realize that your life is stagnant, or you keep repeating one and the same thing and you're becoming very bored doing that same thing, find something else that will motivate you. Maybe challenge yourself on something that you've never done before, something that is out of your comfort zone. And this can bring changes if you do something completely out of your comfort zone. Change is not bad, really, and some people are very scared of change when life is changing. You've become so comfortable with your life and you don't realize that the world is changing around you. This is a time to do something different. If you survived during COVID, then you'll be able to survive during this generation of AI. We cannot expect that it's going to be easy. You need to take it slow because it all starts with the mindset. It will be a slow process. Eventually you'll change. At least you're moving and you're not stagnant. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video. God bless you.